I'm so sleep deprived. I was muted the whole time. All right. Well, it's a rough stream, everybody. It's a rough stream. Anyway, let's recap everything we were talking about. Didn't really sleep too well last night. Yeah, I've been kind of like nervous and stressed out about this thing. And I think that's a product of it just being like, new in general, right? Like, yeah, never made a startup before, never programmed in Clojure before, never live streamed before. So, figuring out where the balance lies with all this stuff and, getting to the point where I can, do it comfortably and confidently and also kind of determine, good morning, Cliff. Welcome. Hope you weren't here for the muted part. I actually did my whole morning monologue and realized I had my microphone off, so that was kind of funny. But anyway, welcome back. Yeah, I was just explaining that, I got some nerves today. Didn't really sleep last night. I was just kind of up, like, thinking about the project and turning things over in my mind and getting kind of nervous. But I think what I will repeat to myself out loud as a way of kind of reminding and reassuring myself is that this is just the first shot I'm taking at this thing. I got like 12 months to get it right. This is just the first month, and anytime you're doing anything for the first time, it's going to be like kind of a rough and tumble shakedown cruise that, might not go that well. In terms of like, the stated goal you have for yourself, right? I mean, I've got all kinds of like secret things that are going on in the background that are a little difficult to appreciate from where I'm sitting right now. Like, A, I've learned a ton about the language. B, I've gotten like fairly, like reasonably comfortable, like, more or less, like capable of doing most things. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. I'm getting a handle on like planning my day and just figuring out like what I need to do in order to kind of ensure that I can do this on a consistent pace and end up the better for it. Not totally burn myself out or have any problems associated with that. So all that being said, might be a rough live stream, might be a short stream. We'll see how much farther I get than my plan. But anyway, the plan for today is to start with a warm-up. So I mentioned last stream that I've got an idea. That idea requires a internet web browser. That whole like 72 hours of content thing. I figure I can make like a bunch of like more easily digested videos if I kind of start the day with a warm-up. And so starting the day with a warm-up is going to serve two purposes. One, it's going to offer me like a kind of low stakes, like simple playground to like explore certain things that I'm wondering about the language. So things that I want to learn or things that I like, watched a video about or read a blog post about that I want to practice and eventually like apply to the real thing. So we attempted to do that yesterday with WebSockets, but I think that was a little bit too ambitious because we ended up doing the whole live stream on the WebSocket thing. And, if you're going to have a warm-up activity, it should be like kind of smaller and more targeted than that. So anyway, it's got a purpose for learning and it's got a purpose for giving me an easy way to have like a short video that I can like put on YouTube, which essentially becomes a tutorial, right? Because like I'm kind of teaching myself the process along the way, and if I can do it in like a short half-hour segment, then that becomes a really easy thing to share out for people who are interested in like learning the language or maybe want to engage with the live stream but don't quite want to jump into like a 3-hour video. So anyway, we're gonna try this. We're gonna try this approach, and we're gonna see how it works. 72 hours of content. So we'll start with a warm up, and we'll see if I make it much farther than that. I might not make it much farther than that because I might just be like too pooped to actually get anything done today. But we'll start with that. We'll see where it goes. So, all that being said, our mantra. It'll get done, or maybe it won't. So, I was mentioning how, this is like the shakedown cruise. This is the first startup, and I think it's going to be the best to kind of approach it as the learning experience that it is. It might turn into something that, becomes like a functional end product, or it might just be like a 4-month crash course and like how to do this whole thing for a year. And either way, that's going to be okay. If it turns out like, it's like something I can like put out there and people can use, that's fantastic. Because that's like kind of my stated goal for this month. But if it doesn't, there's all kinds of things that I have benefited from in like just like putting myself out there and doing it. So that's going to be okay. All right, so the agenda for today is to experiment with namespaces and REPL development. Right, so something I've found like endlessly confusing, and I think it's like actually kind of simple, but I still like can't quite get my head around it, is how namespaces work, how loading files into the REPL works, and how modules like require things from other modules, and like when those things update and why. Because like frequently what I'll do is I'll have we're not going to use this repo necessarily, but I'll just bring it up as an example. So I'll have like, yeah, here we go. So here's the plotters game, and we've got like two files here. We've got like game.clj namespace example backend game, and we've got like handlers. And so handlers requires game, meaning that it like imports it and makes all those like functions and like variables available in this like handlers namespace. And so when you are developing and you make a change here, what you can do is you can load that change into the REPL. So say I was going to start this up. Yeah, it's kind of an involved process to actually start this up. So how about I just do it over here? So I've actually got a REPL running already. And how about we start up another one? We'll start up with Calva. We've only got one file here, but just demonstrating how these kind of REPL concepts work will be good enough. So anyway, we jacked in, we started a REPL, and we've got a running like closure environment that we can run closure code in. So if we do Control-Option-C, enter. Control-Option-C, enter. What that'll do is it'll send the whole file over to the REPL from our window over here, and anything in this namespace will now presumably be available to like actually, either run or like inspect or just like print out. So say we do like simple body page. So if we do like simple body page, press like option enter to evaluate it, what we see is that this is a function. So this function over here is now available in the REPL namespace. So if we try to call the function, we see that we get an error first, arity exception. So an arity is a reference to the number of arguments that a function takes. And it's 9:54 right now. I'm going to stop at 10:15. So we'll do this for a half hour. So that's a reference to the number of arguments that a function takes. So we've got like special words for this, which is like unary, one argument, multi-arity, many arguments. I think there's a word for like takes 2 arguments or takes 3 arguments, but the big ones you see referenced a lot when people are talking about this thing are mostly like unary or multi-arity. So this is a unary function, and that's why we got that error. Wrong number of args, 0 passed to that thing. So say if we were to try to do this, but we just pass it like an empty map, we get a ring response back. So that's an object which says like status 200 headers. These are like just HTML, HTTP headers. Then the body, which is like hello world. We can also see this happening in the browser when we go to localhost 3000, assuming we have started the server. So if we go to localhost 3000, we can see hello world. So yeah, that becomes like what we send back to the browser. And the really cool thing about Clojure, and the reason that like I want to like learn the language and get better at it, is you can like do this stuff interactively in the REPL. Okay, so I got this like basic file here, and what I want to do is I want to add another module. So I want to say like test.clj. This probably conflicts with some test namespace, test module. Yeah, I'll call it that just so it doesn't conflict. Yeah, so the question is def test string equals hello from the test module. Alright, so we defined this variable in test module, and now what we can do is we can require it at the top of my project core CLJ. So my project.core my underscore project test module. Okay. So let's require that. Let's refer test string. All right, so this says like, hey, pull in this namespace, require this module, and refer means give me the variable in this module and like assign it to like this name. So it's kind of like object destructuring in JavaScript, if you're familiar with that. It's basically just a way of like making this available as a variable in the namespace that you are importing it into. So if we say like printline test string, we put it at the top of the file. And my expectation is, like, being a kind of new Clojurist, someone who is like relatively new to the language, is that I can like bring this whole file back over. So Control-Option-C, enter. We have evaluated the file and we get a syntax error. Cannot locate my project test module init class. So this is where I frequently get hung up. And my usual strategy when I do this is to go here into test module, and I do like Control-Option-C, enter. We evaluate the file test module Clojure, and I think that like puts it somewhere in like the Clojure universe, such that if we go back to core and we try exactly what we tried before, just like load the whole file into the namespace, we do this. And now we don't get that error. So starting this thing up, that's our first print line. Second print line is hello from the test module. So that's been the way that like I've made a change in a separate file and gotten it into the REPL or like into my app so I can actually use it. But that's not great, right? Because like every time I make a change, I need to go into this file. I need to remember to like load it into the REPL. I go back to the place where I'm requiring it. I load it back into the REPL. And I remember to update my summary. Morning warm up. Always forgetting. There we go. So anyway, go back into the module that it's requiring, load it into the REPL, and then it's like ready to use. And usually I get a whole bunch of errors like this because I've made like changes in multiple files, and I forgot to load them into the REPL. So I go through this huge, massive process of just going into like every file and opening this, loading that into the REPL, opening that, loading that into the REPL. So I'd like to find a way where I can make a change here, load this file into the REPL, and it just kind of knows that I've made a change over there. And actually, someone on Slack, in the closure of Slack, gave me a pretty sweet tip for that. So, just in the interest of like not putting this guy all over the internet unexpectedly, I'll just like include the quote the tip he said. So he was watching my stream from yesterday, and he said, some use of var quoting can reduce the number of times you need to reset your server for some change to take effect, or prevent you from ever needing to restart it potentially. Variable quoting is done by placing a hash single quote before a variable. This will return the referenced var instead of the value it represents. Alright, so I've seen this in the wild once or twice. Open link. I think I may have been on this doc page before and didn't quite understand it. But the place I saw it first was actually like here. So for some reason you need to do this like var quoting thing when you pass something to like a HTTP kit, like server, run server call. I never quite understood why, and it doesn't work, I think, unless you do that. Address how long you're in use, of course. Right. So let's just real quickly start the REPL again. Alright, valuing file, core, CLJ, file not found exception. What? Maybe if I do it like that, huh? Could not locate the module. Namespace test module. Well, more mysteries, right? So that does actually work if you don't use the var quoting thing. When we go back to localhost 3000, it still works. Okay. So anyway, I've seen it there. I don't really know why that needs to be there. However, I think it has something to do with there's like references and values, which is something that like kind of sneaks up on you on JavaScript quite a lot. So I think what this means is like every time you reference a variable enclosure, it gives you the value and not the reference, but by using this like var quoting thing, it'll give you a reference to the variable, which may have changed at some point. And so yeah, that may be a tool to avoid all this resetting I'm doing. So yeah, if we do this, say main address already in use. I should go into wonder if I could really quickly just like save this web server in an atom. That will enable me to start and stop this web server without starting and stopping the REPL. Stop! Yeah, so I think we can copy this in and we can just like delete a few things. Stop the server! string handler, don't need that. Port stop function, let's stop function. Equals server, run server, with all that stuff on that port. Local port, didn't think I need that. And if we say main is a function that calls start on port 3000, I think that does it. Unfortunately have to stop the REPL, but now I think we can call main again and that will just like reset our server for us. Alright, load the namespace. Found exception, and let's just get rid of our, oh, hey, this is another thing. This is another thing I learned, was this hash quoting. So what this will do, this is like a type of like comment block. So you've got like the semicolon, which is you know, the way you do like a normal like inline content comment. You can also do this like this. Like this is the web server. We can point to the left. Fire emoji keyboard, whatever comes up. But what you can do here, which is also another thing this guy in Slack taught me, which is really cool, is you can do this other kind of comment, which is like a pound with an underscore, and that'll just like comment something out inline, but most significantly is it won't comment out like anything you have at the end of your form, because kind of the closure like Lisp syntax is, instead of like putting the closing braces on new lines, like if we were writing JavaScript, we might do like const stop equals everything's all goofed up because it's expecting me to not be writing JavaScript. So if we say like when something is true, do the thing. So yeah, JavaScript syntax is like that. So you've got these like curly braces which kind of go like up and down, and you know, they close like this, right? So like the closing brace for this happens at the same indentation as the initial definition of the function. But with closure, when you reach the end of the definition of a form, you know, a form is like many things, but in this case, it's just the like curly, the parens that like wrap our function definition here. All the parens just go at the end. So if we were to comment out this like blue let block here, when let, you can see that the form that like this immediately touches is commented out, but this final paren is not. So that is like super useful, and it's going to save me all kinds of like typing and stuff, because I was doing stuff like this before, where you know, I moved the thing that I needed down to the new line, and then I would just do a comment like that. But now I don't need to do that. I can just leave it as it is, which is really sweet. Right, 10:10 a.m. Now, if we were on main, hopefully our web server will start. Right, port nil. Wonder, localhost 3000. Nope. great. Running at ports. Ports. It's not logging what the port is, and that's okay because it's still working. Alright, cool. So I'll just get rid of that. That's great. Alright, back to the mystery of why we can't import this module. Import test module, refer test string. So we have namespace, test module. Maybe we need to prepend it with that. So we'll say my project test module. Let's reload the file. Okay. So let's load the module. Let's reload the file. Let's call our main function once more, but it's already in use. Okay. So that didn't actually work as expected. But you know what, if we're doing like just namespace stuff, it doesn't necessarily need to be a server, right? It just needs to be a namespace that we've started. So how about we just delete all that? How about we just make this the simplest thing ever? Def. Oh, core string. Hello from the core module. And hello from the test module. Alright. Alright. So now we say core string. Nope, it's not a function, but if we say core string like this, we see that. Now if we say test string, we'll see that. Alright. Right. That's because we have loaded test module into the REPL already. So if we start this, start new REPL, should go a little bit faster since we don't have any like server code or external modules to worry about. Add the file, core string, test string. Still not available. Okay. Require my project.test module. Alright, so just as a first step, let's load this. Alright, cannot locate my project test module init class. I wonder, source main, example backend game. Namespace core, namespace test module. We don't have this like file structure, so I don't think we need that. Cannot locate test module init class, test module closure, or test module CLJC on class path. So maybe that means I need to do this thing. Gen class. Do you have like a doc string? I used to not know what that does. I now know that it adds, supposedly is supposed to add a module to the class path. And what the class path is, you might wonder. I've got no idea. I know it's a Java thing. Alright, cool. So we did that gen class thing, and now that module can be required. So if we do like test module test string, test module test string. Nope. Okay. So maybe we can refer test string from that module. All right, load it back in. read the error message. Require test module or for test string, extra input spec. Well, spelled it right. Pretty sure I got the syntax right. Refer with the braces, yeah. It's its own form, yep. It's inside namespaces. Require test module, refer test string. So that doesn't work, but this does. What if we do print line test module test string? What then? No such var. Which is curious because there seems to be a var after all. We have definitely spelled it right. So what's the deal? We did gen class, we did core, we required it, and what's if we just load that in? You know what's interesting is we can require it, but we can't do anything with it once we've got it in there, but it doesn't throw an error. You know, let's just go back to the books. To require a module closure. Alright, so require. Alright, so when you're in the REPL, you don't need to specify that as a key, but when you are in a file, you do. Require. Oh, don't have wrapped in braces, do I? Ah, that was that extra input thing we were talking about. Cool. Now if I say test module, what does it look like? Nope. No such var. Test module test string. Test string does not exist. The limit does not exist. I fail to see what is so different between what I'm doing right now and this sample code I copied. So, paths. Oh, you know what? It might be the paths. So here's deps.eden, which is like kind of the closure equivalent of like a package JSON or something, or like a root configuration file. So this will Specify, among other things, your dependencies that you have required directly in the project and any paths to your code. Alright, so now if I do this, legal access error. Still doesn't work. Alright. Source main. So maybe it's the folder structure. Main. Alright, so it's called the source main. Let's stop Calva. Let's start it up again. Probably should have done this the first time. So there's also stuff that can't happen interactively in the REPL, or at least I don't think it can. One of those things is adding a new dependency, and another one of those things is like adding files. Well, I guess you could like add it to the REPL after you've like added the file, but and REPL ports. There we go. Test module. Alright, still unable to resolve the symbol. But now I can call it like example. Now I can call it like main.core. Now I can also call it main.testModule. So I wonder if this makes a difference. Seems to me that it shouldn't, but perhaps it does. Cannot locate name test module init class. Alright. So we'll just try this one more time. Kill the REPL. Start the CLI. Weirdly add the port to the configuration because Calva sometimes has a hard time figuring out what you're doing. Load it into the REPL. Still can't find it, huh? Still can't find it. What if I just require the test module? Interesting. Core string. Yep, you're obviously okay. Test module, test string. Just gotta rename that to make it less likely that I accidentally do something weird. Alright, so I just tried two more things. I did my old method that I'm trying to figure out a better way to do, which is to like just load the module into the REPL. Now I've loaded the core file into the REPL again. Now I can say core string, yep, t string, test module t string. But if I were to load that namespace into the REPL once more, oh, I don't even have alright, so there's my T string. Main core, require test module. Still unable to resolve the symbol. Test module in this context. So, it could be that I called that gen class thing. I don't think. That's it. Trying to evaluate it. Inline still not happening. Well, I'm gonna give it another few minutes. And then I think I've kind of spent my chips for the day, unfortunately, because I'm just really not feeling super great after having not slept. So it could be that I just don't figure this out this morning. That's okay, man. That is okay. No such namespace. It's proven very difficult to do. No such namespace. Closure. This could be interesting. So I've never actually required a module in the REPL. So if we require like main.test module as test mod, what does that do? Require main.test module. Still not working, huh? Yep, some days it is definitely hard to be productive. This is one of those days. It's actually really beautiful outside. It's really like snowing, these like big fluffy looking flakes. I think it's gonna be snowing for most of the week actually, which is really nice. Yeah, so it's kind of hard to concentrate on the task at hand when you know, the beauty of nature is happening right in front of you. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm gonna call for the day. I just don't have the juice to really do a good live stream right now or get much of anything done really. So yeah, we'll just call it there. Definitely time to make a snowman. You're right, Cliff. Anyway, I'm gonna go take a nap or something. Just kind of, you know, salvage what I can out of the rest of my day, and yeah, maybe I'll get something done in the afternoon, but maybe not. So anyway, signing off a bit early, but yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully, you know, a little better rested, and yeah, have a nice rest of your day. So I'll see you later, man.